الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح للأمة وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد أيها المسلمون أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله تعالى وطاعته كما قال في كتابه الكريم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون وقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم اتق الله حيثما كنت وأتبع سيئة الحسنة تمحها وخالق الناس بخلق حسن ثم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we can't thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enough for making it possible for us to be alive until the start of this auspicious month of Ramadan. We will greatly appreciate Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we have to put it into action. Gratitude is not only verbal. Yes, you have to verbalize it, but you have to act to prove that you are grateful for the blessings and bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I would like to congratulate you as well as thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for making it possible for us to be alive. And we have to make sure we maximize our efforts in coming closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to find the purpose of creation in worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is a special month. This is a special occasion. Actually, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala determines the reward that He gives for those who fast for His sake. So you can't allow yourself to lose out on this auspicious month because you are not sure if you will be alive next year. Anytime you may depart this earth. So what will you say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala vis-a-vis the blessings and bounties that He has showered upon you? So today, I will be talking about reconciliation. It's something that people take lightly. You find, for example, two brothers, they don't talk to each other, they don't communicate, and it's over petty issues. So we have to transcend these petty issues. We have to elevate ourselves higher than our ego. We have to bury our ego and humble ourselves for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّ مِنْ أَزْوَاجِكُمْ وَأَوْلَادِكُمْ عَدُوًّا لَكُمْ فَاحْذَرُوهُمْ وَإِنْ تَعْفُوا وَتَصْفَحُوا وَتَغْفِرُوا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all you who believe, all believers, indeed you should understand that among your spouses and your children, some of them are enemies to you. But if you forgive, overlook, and forget, and pardon, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is all forgiving, mercy giving. Actually, the context behind the revelation of this verse, according to Ibn Abbas, he told the Muslims that when some companions wanted to immigrate from Makkah to Medina, after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had commanded them to do so, their wives and children clung to them. They dissuaded them from immigrating, that you are the breadwinner, we depend on you, so with whom are you going to leave us? So they listened to their wives and children and stayed behind. But eventually, when they were able to make it to Medina, they found that the Muslims who had immigrated earlier had learned a lot from the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and had excelled in acts of worship. So because of anger and disappointment, they wanted to punish their wives and children because they held them back. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, no, just pardon, forgive, and overlook. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is merciful. And according to some interpreters, some exegetes of the Quran, the reason was some people wanted to embrace Islam, but their children and wives held them back from becoming Muslims, and eventually when they became Muslims, they deemed their wives and children as enemy because they understood that Islam came for the good of humanity. They wanted to punish their spouses and children, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade them from doing so. All in all, anyone who dissuades you from worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your enemy. You want to give charity, someone tells you don't give it. You want to pray, someone suggests you to delay the prayer. Anyone who suggests you or who encourages you to delay worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your enemy. So you have to distance yourself from that person. On the day of judgment, you will be questioned alone. But at the end of the day, we have to forgive, overlook, and pardon. And if we do so for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we should rest assured that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive us. Brothers and sisters in Islam, some things are conditional. They say there are conditions that you have to fulfill, for example, in order to be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also, sometimes your forgiveness or your mercy will be delayed because of things which you are not doing. So in this hadith per se, which is connected to our topic today, Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تعرض الأعمال كل يوم خميس واثنين فيغفر الله عز وجل في ذلك اليوم على كل امرئ لا يشرك بالله شيئا إلا امرأ كانت بينه وبين أخيه شحناء فيقال اتركوا هذين حتى يصطلحا. In an authentic hadith, Abu Hurairah narrates that the Prophet ﷺ said that our good deeds are presented before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every Thursday and Monday. And of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything. But one of the reasons why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands the angels who record our deeds to present these deeds to them, you know, at the beginning when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to create Adam, the angels were apprehensive, or they had a reservation that, you know, if you create a human being on earth, he will spread mischief, he will shed blood. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, Inni a'lamu ma la ta'lamun. I know what you do not know. So when the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala excel in performing good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows the angels that you say that a human being will spread mischief, will shed blood. Now see how my sincere servants are worshipping me. So the reason is for the angels to understand and realize that there are people worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah, when He told them that He wanted to create man on this earth, He heard a reason for that beyond their comprehension. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, according to this hadith, sends angels to send Him reports on what we are doing and on what we didn't do every Thursday and every Monday. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives every person who does not associate partners with Him. Anyone who does not worship idols, anyone who does not worship a human being, anyone who only worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is forgiven. Allah guarantees you forgiveness if you do not associate partners with Him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs the angels to put on hold the forgiveness of a person who harbors a grudge against his brother, whether he is his filial brother or brother in Islam. So in other words, if you are not talking to your brother, if you're not interacting with your brother, if you are not communicating with your brother, you will not have the chance to have this forgiveness. It will be put on hold until you reconcile with your brother. So although this is a month of triple efforts, a month of mercy and forgiveness, but we have to follow the instructions given to us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and after Him by the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So if you need forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to forgive all those who have wronged you, especially the family members. Brothers and sisters in Islam, when you treat well your family members or your brothers, it's not an issue of reciprocity. You are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whether they reciprocate or not, whether they thank you or not, you are doing it exclusively for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a hadith that was narrated by Abdullah ibn Amr radiallahu anhuma, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وسلم قال ليس الواصل بالمكافئ ولكن الواصل الذي إذا قطعت رحمه وصلها. So the Prophet ﷺ tells us that when you strengthen the bonds of kinship, when you are dutiful to your family members, when you bring them together, you are not doing so because you are expecting them to reciprocate, and if they don't, you stop. But the Prophet ﷺ tells us even if they do not reciprocate and even if they turn against you, you will continue doing that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. According to Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he narrated to us that a man approached the Prophet ﷺ and told him, Ya Rasulullah, inna li qarabatun asluhum wa yaqta'unani wa uhsinu ilayhim wa yusibuna ilayhi wa ahlum anhum wa yajhaluna alayhi. فقال الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لئن كنت كما قلت فكأنما تصفهم المن ولا يزال معك من الله ظهير عليهم ما دمت على ذلك. So a person approached the Prophet ﷺ complaining about his family members, that I always try my best to strengthen the bond between us, the filial bond, the family bond between us, but they separate, they cut it. They don't allow me to achieve my goals. They don't come to me. They don't make it easy for me. It's difficult for me. Whatever I try, they don't see sense in it. أصلهم ويقطعونني. I try to come closer to them. I try to strengthen the bond of kinship with them, but they cut it. وأحسن إليهم ويسيئون إلي. I treat them well, yet they mistreat me. And I treat them with kindness, but in return, they treat me with harshness. So the man was confused. What shall I do? I have tried my best. I've done this. Whatever I do, it doesn't make sense to them, and I don't achieve my goal of connecting with them. The Prophet ﷺ says, لَإِن كُنْتَ كَمَا قُلْتَ فَكَأَنَّمَا تُصِفُهُمُ الْمَنُّ. If really you are doing this, and this is how they respond, don't worry. It is as though you are stuffing hot ashes in their mouths. In other words, you are degrading them. You are superior. You have elevated yourself higher than them. You have transcended their meanness. So continue doing it. You will be victorious. You will be victorious eventually, whether here on earth or in the hereafter. Then the Prophet ﷺ comforted the man. He said, don't worry, so long as you are dutiful to them, so long as you try your best to connect with them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send an angel to protect you, and you will be victorious if you keep doing what you are doing. So it's not an issue of appreciation, an issue of reciprocity, and not only when you're dealing with your family members. In general, when you serve someone, when you favor someone, when you help someone, your intention should be to do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So don't complain that I helped so and so for a long time, he didn't appreciate, and when I needed his help, he didn't care. You are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So put it in your heart, in your mind, in your psyche, that whatever you do, you should intend doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are not waiting for reciprocity from anywhere. You're not waiting for appreciation. If they do, then well and fair. If they don't, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward you abundantly. So whatever you do, you are doing it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if someone wronged you, make sure you forgive. This is the month of forgiveness. In as much as you seek forgiveness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you should be able to forgive those who wrong you. It's very, very important, brothers and sisters. So brothers and sisters in Islam, the issue of forgiveness is very important. In a hadith that was narrated by Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ألا أدلكم على أفضل من درجة الصلاة والصيام والصدقة قالوا بلى يا رسول الله قال إصلاح ذات البين فإن فساد ذات البين هي الحالقة. So the Prophet ﷺ, according to Abu Darda, he was sitting with his companions, and he wanted to attract their attention. He said, shall I tell you of something which is higher in degree and reward than an optional prayer, optional fasting and charity, something which is better than optional prayer, better than optional fasting and charity. They were curious. They said, tell us, O Messenger of Allah, we are all ears. He said, Islahu Dhatul Bayn, to make peace between two people who have decided to be opponents, who have decided to be enemies, whether they are family members or not. So as a Muslim, you are duty bound. If you know that people do not talk to one another, they have decided to cut off one another, it is your duty to make peace among them, to bring them together. Because if you do so, you get a superior reward than optional prayer, than optional fasting, than even charity. So this is an act that we have to train ourselves to do, an act of worship, making peace between antagonists, especially if they are family members. There is a story that one of the celebrated scholars shared with us. According to him, it's a true story. He said two brothers had decided to be enemies, were no longer talking to one another. They no longer wanted to see each other, and they were living in the vicinity near each other. Their houses were connected with each other. So they employed someone to erect a strong wall so that they should not see each other. So to erect a strong wall between their houses. And this man was a pious person. So instead of taking the money to build that wall, that divisive wall, what he did was to bring them together. So they say, people should be like grease and glue. When there is friction between people, they don't understand one another, you should be grease to separate them. And when people are separated, you are glue, you glue them together. So when there is friction, there is fighting, there is antagonism, you separate them. And when they are separated, not talking to one another, you glue them together. So this is what that Mason was doing. So he decided to forgo the money. He didn't care about the money, but he wanted to bring them together. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitated his efforts to bring those people together. And eventually they were happy with him. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, rewarded him abundantly. بارك الله لي ولكم في القرآن العظيم ونفعني وإياكم بالآيات والذكر الحكيم أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. Brothers and sisters in Islam, it's very important as brothers and sisters to be connected with one another. And actually, according to Islam and according to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when you help a Muslim, a believer, you get one reward. Now when I say one reward, it's not only one. According to a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, if you perform one good deed, you get from 10 up to 700 and many more, depending on the efficacy with which you perform that deed and with the frequency. So you may perform one simple deed, it may bring you more than 700 rewards. So it's between 10 and 700. This is why we say Ramadan, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides how many rewards He will give us. Now, when you help a stranger who is not connected to you, who is a believer, who is not your family member, you get one reward, which means you get between 10 up to 700 and more, depending on your intention. And especially if you did not have ulterior motives. But if you help your relative, you get that twice. You get it twice. And according to a lot of narrations from the Prophet ﷺ, when you help your relative who does not like you, who hates you, who disconnects himself from you, you get even more rewards. Your relative doesn't talk to you, he or she dislikes you, and maybe they spread rumors about you, they tarnish your reputation. If you help that person, you are rewarded more than helping those who appreciate or those who are friendly to you. So there is a quote that goes, when you realize that you've done something wrong, admit it, feel sorry, and bury your ego, bury your pride. no one has ever choked to death by swallowing his pride. No one has ever choked to death by swallowing his pride. You know, some people, they feel they are reserved to make the baby steps of reconciliation, that, you know, maybe he or she will feel that I need them, maybe they will feel that now, since we stopped talking to one another, I got problems, maybe I need their help. You have to bury your pride. Do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, Man tawada'a lillahi rafa'a. Whoever humbles himself for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will raise him higher and higher. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was the epitome of humbleness. Although he's the best human being, but he was a humble person, talking to each and everyone, not regarding anyone's rank or degree or whatever, whoever wanted to talk to him, he had an easy access to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وصلوا وسلموا على من أمرتم بالصلاة والسلام عليه عموما بقوله تعالى إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد وارض اللهم عن الأربعة الخلفاء الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن سائر أصحاب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجمعين اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين وأذل الشرك والمشركين ودمر أعداءك أعداء الدين اللهم اجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم اجعلنا آمنين مطمئنين في رخاء وسخاء اللهم ربنا ورب كل شيء فالق الحب والنوى ومنزل التوراة والإنجيل والفرقان نعوذ بك من شر كل شيء أنت آخذ بناصيته يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم اجعل هذا البلد آمنا مطمئنا رخاء سخاء وسائر بلاد المسلمين عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون.